subtle dullness. Do I need these headphones? I don't think so. Okay, this is actually wild. So a few weeks ago, my meditations were just super banging. I was sitting down, sinking right into the body, getting laser focused on my object. And the object for me lately has been the teacher, using the preliminaries that I've talked about in previous videos, previous episodes. And not only was I laser focused on the object for every single meditation session, and again, I haven't missed a meditation session since the beginning of MTT, which at this point is over 3 months. Look at what it says right here. Holy shit. Pleasurable, subtle dullness is a trap and a dead end. You must recognize and avoid that trap. I guess it's good that I recognize it. Okay, let me continue my explanation. Here's what happened. So I've told you all about this high, this crazy high that I've been on since the end of MTT, just feeling so in tune with the Dharma, meditating consistently, found my sangha, embodying all this wisdom, breaking through my fears, etc., etc., etc. So a couple weeks back, I'm repeating myself now. My meditations are consistent. I'm sitting down. I'm dropping the body right away. I'm laser focusing on my object, be it the breath or the teacher, to run through the preliminaries. Not only am I laser focused, but I'm having like tremendous visual experiences, vivid visual experiences. My heart is exploding into rose petals and light and all these beautiful, incredible things. But they were like that every single session. And I thought that I was doing so good, right? Like as I'm writing in my meditation journal and I'm rating my meditations out of 10, they're all like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 every single time, day after day for weeks and weeks. But at the same time, like I start slipping mentally. To put it to you straight, I start slipping into samsara, like something's wrong. My fear is getting the best of me. I'm returning to my pattern of hiding. But meanwhile, I'm meditating really consistently in what I think is really perfectly. So it's really weird and unsettling. Okay, so this is lasting and building up for weeks, and there's actually a depression building up, and I'm so confused. I'm like, what is going on? I'm meditating every day. I'm doing all the steps. I'm doing all the stages. The focus is there. Why during the day is my fear starting to take over? What happened to all this progress that I've been making? And I can tell I'm back in samsara because I'm like, was I only happy because of MTT? Do I need to do X, Y, and Z in order to find the happiness again? I'm looking at myself in the same trap again. Okay, and this all happened over the course of or I don't know for how long it's been slowly building up, but it's been happening in my conscious awareness for about 2 weeks. This sticky energy has been building up. And at about the 2-week mark, which was just last night or 2 nights ago, something snapped. I woke up, I was like, fuck this. I'm not meditating this morning. Like this just feels too monotonous, repetitive, like I'm just checking off the checkbox. And then that day I have a pretty miserable day. Still sort of slipping into a downward spiral almost. And then from a feeling of desperation and fear that all my progress is falling apart, that all this MTT stuff was just a pipe dream. It's almost like exactly what I knew the fear would come back in, but somehow it snuck up on me and it got me hooked. And out of a feeling of desperation of being hooked, I was sitting right here. I was looking at, there's like a TV blocking some of the things now, but I was looking, and that's kind of symbolic that I put a TV blocking some of these things. But I was looking at these things on my altar, this Buddha right here, these images from an MTT sangha member, lover, this set of wheels that didn't belong to Chad Caruso, but they're Chad Caruso's company. on the other side where you can't see photos of my cat who passed away and my grandfather who passed away. Like, I was looking at these things and I put on a playlist with a lot of sad songs that I built during meditation teacher training. And I just sat there and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And as I was playing that music and looking at the things on my altar, my meditation altar, the first insight that hit me is I haven't been looking at these objects the way I'm supposed to. This thing just became a bookshelf. The pictures just became pictures. I just moved this one over here. I'm looking at it now. I should show you guys my view actually right now. Ram Dass. If you've been following me, you know what Ram Dass means to me, but this was just a picture sitting there. And here's a little Buddha. So all these things, they were just flat. They were just flat. And I think the thing is that my meditations, even though I was following on the steps, even though I was bang spot on the object, really focused, doing everything properly, checking off the meditation for the day, the meditations have become flat too. What a strange thing. And okay, and after I had that little emotional moment of like desperation, like what the hell is going on? Am I losing it? That emotion, that desperation actually snapped me back into like a quote unquote good meditation. Like it had that potency, it had that stuff. And I wasn't even that focused during that session. Like it was not a to the T, following the rules, following the steps, following the focus session. It was scattered. Agitation was actually the obstacle that came up during that session, but it had something that was missing when I was experiencing those meditations, which I now realize were riddled with subtle dullness. Subtle dullness. How fascinating that you could be meditating, doing it all quote unquote perfectly, and yet the meditation is flat. It's stagnant. It has no passion. It has no emotion. It has no energy. In my years of meditation, I've never experienced anything like this. Maybe because when I hit this point in the past, I would just kind of fizzle out of meditation. But because we're doing this 100-day meditation challenge, there's a lot of mutual accountability. Maybe because I'm coming off of MTT where I've recommitted to my meditation practice, I just kept going, kept practicing no matter what, day in, day out. So I think I enabled myself to have the experience of subtle dullness. And now that it's all come together, I'm like, holy shit. This is like weirdly beautiful in a way that I just, not once did I give up on my practice. And I watched this weird, uncomfortable, sad, depressing, scary thing start to happen for a couple weeks. And then it's like, yo, it's in the fucking book. It's in the book. And like I said, as I was going through this, meditation is not really supposed to do anything, but it also kind of is supposed to do something, and it wasn't doing that thing that it's supposed to do. Right? Like I said, here's one of the reasons I pulled out the MTT notes. This is a quote from Hector. Okay, early on in MTT, this is October 1st, Hector said, and I quote, "When you forget, you either hide, run away, or attack. But you don't have to let a little monster grow inside you. You have support." So when I forget, I'm a hider. I hide, I put my mask on, I crawl into my shell. I protect myself by hiding. And it fucking hurts, man. It really hurts me to hide. Like, it hurts my soul. It hurts my heart. My heart closes. Everything. I start to get more and more depressed. And this whole time I was like, why am I hiding? Why is it becoming so hard? What happened to this thing I've been connected to during MTT? I had this breakthrough about the subtle dullness. I had that one quote unquote good meditation session finally, this good potent session. right after that session, I felt enabled to share this vulnerable thing about what I've been going through. And it's interesting because as I've gone through MTT and hosted the 100-day meditation challenge with Dion, it's like, and I taught a class or two, and I'm also TAing with 3 Jules and Hector. I'm like starting to create this, or my ego is starting to latch onto this. Oh, I'm a good meditator. I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert. I'm a teacher. You know what I mean? I'm like, my ego's like, okay, I'm getting good at this meditation and teaching thing. My ego's like, okay, I've got this image to uphold now. And so I think that contributed to the building subtle dullness, to the building of the subtle dullness, because I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking I'm such a good meditator. I'm focusing, single pointed, bang, bang, bang. And that blind spot that my ego created by like thinking I'm this expert meditator now that I've done MTT, it allowed the subtle dullness to creep in. So like I shared this expression, basically the same thing I'm expressing now. Although now it's a few days later, there's more here, but I shared this thing that felt very raw and vulnerable, especially being in a group chat that I started as the teacher. There's this ego narrative that I can't be vulnerable here. I have to I have to seem like I, have it together. I'm the teacher. And snapping that and talking about something I've been struggling with and being vulnerable and open, and then allowing others to teach me and to hold space for me and to hold me. God, it was amazing. That's okay. 3 jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. I think being vulnerable like that, like when something's building in your heart and you take it out and you show people and you're like, do you still love me? I think that's taking refuge in the Sangha, and I watched that mechanism come into play, and these things clicked in my brain again, and I'm like, oh, it's actually okay. And I stole this meme from the 3 Jules Instagram and modified it slightly. How beautiful. And here's a drawing I made inspired by Hector's quote. This was drawn a week after the quote was said. Can you see that? You see, it's just, ignore everything. It's just these bottom images. You see, this person is a little monster inside, and you don't have to hold it in there. It actually grows in size and magnitude and scariness if you keep it in there. But if you like show it to your Sangha or your teacher or a loving community in some form, it's like, you're like, oh, it's okay. So that was beautiful to experience. What else? Okay, and then I realized today it's like, oh, okay, this is kind of the importance of consistency of practice, because like actually it's good that I experienced this dullness. Like it's good that I now have a wider vantage point. Okay, I'm not being a great teacher. Okay. On that note, right, one key insight from this whole experience is never get stuck in the role of teacher. Never get stuck in feeling like you're an expert meditator. I'm talking to myself, by the way. Being a teacher means being a student. You have to keep that humbleness. You have to be willing to become a beginner again and again and again. That's another thing I realized when I had that meditation sit. When I finally looked at all the images and became emotional and played the sad music, I felt like I was starting over, and it was like, fuck, this is exactly what I've been needing. And damn, that subtle dullness really crept up on me. So look out for it, y'all. If you're getting deep into your practice, look out for that. Because as John Yates says in The Mind Illuminated, pleasurable subtle dullness is a trap and a dead end. You must recognize and avoid that trap. And I haven't even read this whole section, but it was pleasurable. I was like, I'm meditating so good. And meanwhile, I was falling back into the depths of hell. I think that's it. I love you. I'll see you next time. Bye.